today we are going to be looking at a title from Pearson called Gold Experience. So some of you might be familiar with this title already. We are going to be looking at how this title kind of takes a really modern approach to combining exam preparation and development of our students' kind of general English skills and knowledge. We'll be looking at how it combines both online and offline features to make our lives as teachers a lot easier. Okay, so first we're going to have a quick kind of overview. So I'm going to give you an overview of the title. Okay, so it is an 8-level course. So we can use it to take our students from A1 all the way up to C1. Okay, one of my favorite things about Gold Experience is that they include these plus levels, such as A2 plus, B1 plus, and B2 plus. Okay, so this is great. For example, if you have a very strong kind of intermediate group, and you really want to kind of push them, really want to challenge them, then B1 plus is perfect for them. Okay, or for example, we know that the jump from upper intermediate to advanced, it's quite a big jump. But by using B2 plus, we can make that transition a bit smoother for our students. So it's a bit less of a shock for them. Okay, we can really help them consolidate that knowledge that they get at upper intermediate to make this kind of transition to advanced a lot more comfortable for them. So I have a question for you now. So who is Gold Experience aimed at? Okay, so what do you think? So who is Gold Experience aimed at? Okay, so we can think of types of students, or okay, so maybe adult learners, okay, young adults. Good, yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. We can use Gold Experience with students in their kind of late teens and young adults. Okay, so young adults. I would also say that some of the lower levels, would be absolutely fine with kind of younger teens as well. Okay, so what about schools? What schools can we use it with? Well, we can use Gold Experience with at secondary schools. Okay, it's also fine, to use private language schools. Okay, so I also teach at the London School of English. We use Gold Experience there. The students love it, and it's very easy to teach from. Okay, of course, universities, if we're preparing students for particular exams, or if you're a one-to-one tutor as well. So as we'll see later, it is a very flexible title to use. And also, as we'll be looking at, it is appropriate for both exam and non-exam students. Okay, so before we look at Gold Experience in more detail, I have a question for you to think about. So what are the challenges of teaching exam preparation courses? So in your opinion, what are some of the challenges of teaching exam preparation courses? Okay, so what do you think? Please send me some of your ideas in the chat box. Definitely, Arena. It's a big responsibility. These exams, they have a kind of gatekeeping role. Okay, so if they pass the exam, it opens the door for lots of kind of possibilities in the future. Any other ideas? Okay, so what is challenging about these exam preparation courses? Okay, definitely at the moment we have obviously the corona situation that we need to handle. We'll be looking at that later as well. Irene, teens, course, teens can also always be a bit tricky. Well, here are some of my ideas. Okay, well, one issue is maintaining motivation. Okay, this might sound like a strange one because students on exam preparation courses are often more motivated than those on general English courses because they have a very clear kind of goal. However, I do find that if teachers kind of relentlessly focus on the exam, okay, lessons can get quite repetitive and students lose motivation quite quickly. Okay, another issue, another challenge is obviously exam stress. Particularly as we get closer to the exams, students get more stressed. Okay, that can impact on their kind of performance in lessons. Some students thrive on it; they do very well. Other students kind of go into themselves and maybe don't participate as much in the lessons. Okay. Another issue. Okay, mixed ability classes. Okay, so this is a challenge that we have to deal with obviously general English classes as well. But yeah, I mean, in my experience, I found that some people joining exam preparation courses, maybe, yeah, they are the correct level and they are almost ready to take the exam. Maybe they join the course just to familiarize themselves with the exam and to learn some kind of exam strategies. Whereas other people who join the course, maybe, yeah, they're actually joining to develop many areas of their general English kind of capabilities. So maybe at the end of the year, they'll be able to take the exam. So often you find that there is a very mixed kind of group in exam preparation courses. Also, yeah, finding the right balance of general English and exam preparation. One danger with exam preparation courses is that if the teacher focuses too much on just practicing exam questions, we say it becomes just teaching for the exam. Okay, so it means that we aren't really developing our students' kind of wider kind of linguistic abilities. Okay, we want our students to do well in the exam, but also be able to use the language, be a proficient user of the language after the exam as well. So we need to kind of take a more well-rounded approach to developing their linguistic knowledge. And finally, yeah, of course, as one of you mentioned earlier, we have the Corona situation at the moment, which has meant that some of us have had to adapt to teaching online. Okay, some of us may also have to switch from teaching online to offline, maybe a couple of times during the year, as the status of our city kind of changes. Well, throughout today's webinar, we'll be looking at how Gold Experience can help you to overcome these challenges. We are going to be focusing on my 3 favorite aspects of this course. Okay, so firstly, yeah, we are going to be looking at why I think this is such a well-balanced course. Okay, we'll be looking at how it incorporates general English development, exam preparation, and also the development of life skills into a really engaging, easy to teach lesson flow. Okay, another aspect we'll be looking at is how flexible it is. We'll be looking at how the range of online and offline features makes our kind of job as teachers a lot easier, allows us to take a much more flexible approach to how we teach our students. And finally, yeah, we'll be looking at how the fresh and authentic content in Gold Experience is so engaging for our students as well. So we'll be looking at a few different examples. So yeah, firstly, we're going to be focusing on why I think it's such a well-balanced title. Okay, well, here we have a kind of typical lesson flow. Okay, this is for one unit. Okay, all of the units, of course, follow the same kind of sequence of lesson topics. Okay, not lesson topics, but lesson focuses, sorry. Okay, so we can see here that language skills and knowledge are integrated very well with exam preparation. Okay, so there are units focusing on developing our students' kind of receptive and productive skills that they need for the exam, and in general, complemented very well by units focusing on grammar and vocabulary. Okay, so these units focusing on developing the students' skills, yet they always contain an exam question to give the students some practice, and also some kind of exam strategies and skills, some of which we'll be looking at later. So this is one of the reasons I really like Gold Experience, is because it has such a nice, varied kind of lesson flow. Okay, it's not relentless kind of exam preparation. You have the kind of general knowledge, general English development integrated well with the exam preparation. Okay, it's a lot more motivating for the students. So one of my favorite things about the second edition of Gold Experience, which we're looking at today, is that every unit starts with one of these fantastic kind of thought-provoking and motivating unit openers. Okay, so each one has a really vibrant picture, an interesting quote, and some discussion questions for our students. So this is to get the students kind of thinking, to warm them up, okay, ready to start a new kind of unit. Okay, so this is one of my favorites, getting the students thinking about how their personality changes when they're with different people. So who I am depends on who I'm with. So my students always have a lot to say about this one. Another one, youth is wasted on the young. So I'm sure some of us can agree with this quote. So these are both taken from the C1 level coursebook, okay? But today, we are going to be focusing on a unit from the B2 plus level. So remember, I said before that this is kind of like a pre-advanced, we call this level pre-advanced. So again, it's great if you've got a strong group of upper intermediate students and you really want to kind of challenge them, really want to kind of push them a bit more. Also, for other students, it makes that transition to advanced a lot smoother. This is the unit we're going to be looking at. Okay, so this is one of my favorite unit openers. So the quote we have, I throw myself into everything I do. Okay, so how true is this of you? Do you throw yourself into everything you do? So tell me in the chat box, do you throw yourself into everything you do? Into your teaching, into your, of course, good. Thank you, Victoria. Irina, good. It's good to hear. Okay, not always, of course. Good. Yes, I try to. Good. So, have some kind of passion about things. So, as we saw earlier from the kind of lesson flow, every unit starts with a lesson focusing on developing our students' reading skills. Okay. So this particular one has a really interesting text. It looks at the possible connection between how messy somebody's bedroom is and how creative they are as a person. So is it a myth or is it true? Okay. So I know my teenagers always have a lot to say about this, okay? As always, with all of the lessons in Gold Experience, the sequence of activities is very logical, okay? They always have a very clear kind of lead-in, okay, to kind of warm the students up, to generate interest in the topic, okay? So we can see the question that we have here to generate interest is, yeah, do you and your other members of your family ever argue over tidiness? Okay, so maybe a question for any mums out there is, yeah, do your teenagers have, perfectly clean bedrooms? So are their rooms absolutely spotless? Or, yeah, so I'm sure some of you can relate to this. Yeah, so we find, with my classes, teenagers particularly always have a lot to say about this. Okay, yeah, so I can see some of you can relate to this, definitely. As I said before, so with Gold Experience, the exam preparation is kind of integrated with the general English development very kind of seamlessly. And we can see that in this particular lesson, okay? So before the students look at the text, they are introduced to an exam kind of strategy, an exam tip, okay? But this is also something that is, well, this particular exam tip is about how students can identify a writer's purpose by looking for particular clues in a text. So although this is obviously useful for students getting ready for the exam, this is also a very useful kind of reading sub-skill in general, okay? So here we have some words that students can look for, yeah, to show them what the writer's purpose might be, okay? So which of these show us that maybe the writer is comparing something? So maybe you can send me the answers in the chat box. So which of these show us that the writer is comparing? Is it essential, illustrates, negative, or similarly? Yeah, good. So it is the fourth option there. So similarly. What about if we think the writer is kind of trying to persuade us of something? Which of these words can be a clue of that? Yeah, good. So by saying something is essential, okay? So there are a few examples here, but then, of course, this is encouraging our students to think of more. So we can elicit many more from the students, yeah? Maybe write them up on the board. That's what I do, yeah, with my students when I use this. Okay, and then criticizing, negative, and illustrates, okay? So again, this is a useful kind of strategy to equip our students with before they look at these type of exam questions. The next, okay, like I said, it's a very logical lesson flow. We have some pre-reading tasks, okay? For example, this one, getting the students to kind of predict the content of the text, okay? Again, another useful skill for the students to have. And then after that, they are ready to look at, yeah, an authentic exam question, okay? We can always see in the book which are the kind of exam questions from this green E, okay? So it makes it very easy for us as teachers and for the students to know that, yeah, we are practicing a real kind of exam-like question. So you'll notice that this particular question is kind of very similar to the multiple choice question that our students would have in the Zeno kind of reading paper, okay? It also gets them ready for many other kind of internationally recognized exams that have this same format. Okay. If we look at the choices here, we can see that, yeah, they're quite challenging. Okay. So it's not easy, but remember that this is for this pre-advanced level. Okay. So we are using this to really push our kind of upper intermediate students, to really kind of challenge them, encourage them to really truly develop. And then each of the lessons also finishes with some productive skills practice. Okay, so for example here, it's a discussion. Okay, so getting the students to work together, developing these kind of soft skills that are so important as well. So as we saw from the lesson flow earlier, after every reading lesson, there is a grammar lesson. Okay, this is great because the reading lesson actually sets the context for some of the examples that are introduced in the grammar lesson. So in this first activity, this language, the examples are taken from the reading text. Okay, so it has a very clear kind of context. It means the lessons kind of flow very well. Okay, so this first activity, we are testing what the students already know. And then with these explore grammar boxes, these are really good. This is where we're kind of getting the students to work out the rules for themselves. Okay, so we give them the examples and get them to work out the rules. So is this an inductive or deductive approach to grammar teaching? Is it inductive or deductive? What do we think? Maybe you can send me your answer in the chat box. So if we are giving the students the examples to work out the rules, is it inductive or deductive? Okay. Well, if we are giving the students the text, the examples to work out the rules from, we would actually call this, this is an inductive approach to grammar teaching, which, as we know, there are many kind of benefits to this. Okay. By giving the students the examples and getting them to work out the rules, it is a lot more cognitively challenging. Okay. It means that the students have to kind of work a bit harder. Okay. This has been shown to promote kind of longer retention of the information. Okay. Also, this way is a lot more student-centered. It means that the students are taking a much more active approach. Okay, so it's more engaging for them as well. Okay, so getting the students to work a bit harder. And then after this, we give the students some examples, some more examples of the language, target language in context. So the focus of this lesson is looking at subject-verb agreement. So it's something that students often make a lot of small mistakes with. Okay, so here we are giving the students more examples in a recording and also in a text as well. So really kind of reinforcing their understanding of it. We know after we have, taught or checked that the students, after we have taught the grammar, here the students kind of worked it out for themselves, we need to check their understanding. Okay, so how do we check our students' understanding? So what would we call this stage in the lesson? So how do we check our students have really understood? Give them some practice kind of using the language. Maybe we can fill this gap. What do you think? So what word? Yes, very good, Tatiana, thank you. So we have some controlled practice activities as well. Of course, with every grammar lesson, it's important, like I said, Gold Experience, it has a very logical kind of lesson flow, very easy to teach from. Okay. Then at the end, we have again some productive skills practice, like a discussion where we can get the students to use this language or talk about the topic. So it's good news for those of you that like grammar, because in each unit, there are 2 lessons of grammar. Okay. So the second of which in each unit also contains an authentic kind of exam question as well. Okay, so it includes an authentic exam question and also some of those exam strategies that we looked at earlier. Okay, so after the grammar, we have a fantastic vocabulary lesson. Okay, so all of these vocabulary lessons on some really engaging, really interesting topics. This one is on health and diet. Students always, again, have some opinions on this. In this particular lesson, the students are introduced to the target language through a recording of a man talking about health habits. Okay, we are going to listen to the man. Okay, and I would like you to try and answer this question. So listen to the man talking about the health habits. Which of the things does he mention? Okay, so maybe you can send the answers in the chat box at the end. So which of the things on this list does he mention? Okay, so just have a quick look. Familiarize yourself with the list. Okay, and if you're ready, I'm going to play the recording now. So listen carefully.
Okay, so here's the thing. What should you do if you're completely knackered, but your project is due the next morning? Well, the most obvious thing is to reach for an energy drink. It's packed with 6 times as much caffeine as a cup of coffee. So that's got to wake you up, right? Well, it won't actually do you much good. As well as caffeine, it's full of sugar. 1 small can contains around 13 teaspoons of the stuff. That'll give you a massive energy boost, but the benefits are very short-lived, and that's no good. You'll just end up with an energy crash an hour or so later. If you really need to work through the night to get that project finished, have a cup of coffee and then take a nap for 20 minutes. The 20 minutes will be the time it takes for the caffeine to start working, and you'll wake up ready to do your best. Think about your posture. Sitting straight increases oxygen levels. You could also go and work out for 30 minutes. You might think that a workout is the last thing you want to do when you're really tired, but getting your heartbeat going is the best thing to make you feel more alert and ready to get up and go.
Okay, so I hope you were listening carefully. So which of the things does he mention? Okay, good. So energy drinks. Yeah. Good. Yeah, coffee. Yeah. What else? Yeah, the nap. So this 20-minute nap. Was there anything else? Did he mention anything else? So the energy drinks, coffee, taking a nap. Yes. Good. Oksana, yeah. Good. Thank you, Victoria. So the workout as well. Okay. So as I said, through this recording, okay, kind of generating the students' interest and also introducing them to all the target language, okay, we're actually going to look at some more activities from this vocabulary page a bit later, okay, because later in this lesson, we would be focusing on some of the kind of phrasal verbs that the man used in that recording. Okay. Again, it's good news if you like vocabulary, if you like teaching vocabulary, if your students like learning new vocabulary, because each unit of Gold Experience contains 2 vocabulary lessons. Okay, again, as with the grammar, the second one features some authentic exam questions as well, just to give them kind of more practice with this. Okay, if we look at this particular one, the second one on the screen there was also a part of it. You get these throughout the book, these kind of game on sections. Okay, this gives us some ideas of games that we can use with our students to kind of get them to produce the language, to kind of test their understanding of it. This particular one is looking at words that students kind of commonly kind of confuse. So I know, yeah, my students often make mistakes with advice and advise, which we know in the kind of use of English part of some exams, you know, if they make that kind of mistake, they don't get any points. Okay, do your students make any kind of mistakes with any of these that we can see here? So advice, advise, among, between. Okay, so do your students make any mistakes with these? Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, so Victoria, yeah, I'm sure a lot of your students have some issues with some of these. Like I said before, you know, exam stress is an issue for some of the students preparing for exams. So to give the students some opportunities to use the language in a kind of fun way, yeah. So they're still practicing the language, but it might take their mind off the exam, you know, for just that part of the lesson. So I always find it's quite nice, quite effective way to practice and develop their language. Okay. As I said earlier, okay, a third element that Gold Experience integrates really well into its kind of into the lesson flow is also life skills as well. So it integrates life skills with this general English development and the exam preparation. Okay, so the way it does this is with some kind of project ideas. Okay, my students love these projects. Okay, it's possible to use them at any, they're always at the end of the unit, but you can use them obviously at any points throughout that unit that you're looking at. Okay, the topic is always connected, yeah, to the overall topic of the unit. So through the completion of this project, the students are developing kind of research skills, presentation skills, and this kind of critical thinking as well. So all kind of skills that are going to be helping our students kind of obviously not for the exam, but kind of in their life beyond the exam room, okay, for kind of their future careers and also, you know, studying at university as well. So another important life skill that we need to help our students develop is their ability to work independently. And in Gold Experience, there are whole sections dedicated to helping our students to develop these kind of skills, okay, to help them develop the skills they need to work independently, okay. So in this particular example that I've got for you here, the students are focusing on identifying kind of reading problems they might have with reading, and then thinking of some possible solutions that they can do with this. Okay, so by encouraging our students to work more independently, by equipping them with the skills they need to do this, it's going to help them with the exam, going to help them at university, okay, it's going to help them in their later life as well. So we've looked at why I think it's such a well-balanced workflow. Now we're going to move on to looking at why I think it's such a flexible title to use, okay? So I'm sure some of you, like myself, have had to adapt to teaching online recently, okay? So how many of you are teaching online at the moment? So maybe you can tell me in the chat box. So how many of you? Yeah, okay, so I can see a lot of you teaching online. Okay, of course, it might have been quite tricky to adapt to that. Maybe some of you as well have started teaching in the classroom and then had to move online, during the year. Well, I'm going to show you how some online and offline features of Gold Experience make our lives a lot easier. Okay, so means that we don't need to worry if we have to go online again in the future. So with each course of Gold Experience, you get a code which gives you access to Pearson English with Gold Experience is this presentation tool. Okay, basically, this is a tool that we can use to present all of the content that's in the books in a really kind of easy and engaging way for our students. Okay, if some of you are still a bit nervous about teaching online, trust me, this will make things easier. Okay, so this is an example. This is the kind of homepage of this presentation tool. So you can see each of the units kind of clearly laid out for you. Okay, and also, before I forget, of course, you can use this online, but also in the classroom. Okay, so with a projector, you can project this onto the screen for the students while they follow along with their own books. Okay, or using an online platform like Zoom. Okay, it's easy. We share the screen. The students can see this while they follow along with their own books. Okay, we know that as soon as we introduce any kind of technology into the class, the students are immediately kind of hooked. So I find this is often a much more engaging way to go through the page with the students. So we click on the unit that we're looking at, and then we can click on the page that we want to look at. Okay, and then this is projected for the students. Okay, so remember, this is the vocabulary lesson from earlier, the one about health and diets. Okay, so remember, we listened to the man talking. Well, now we're going to focus on some of the phrasal verbs that were introduced through that recording. Okay, so we can do that quite simply by clicking on the activity. Okay, then it enlarges it, on the screen. Again, if we're projecting it in the classroom or, on, for example, Zoom. And then we have the activity here. So can we answer this together? So if we look at number 1 and number 2, can we replace the phrases in bold with any of these phrasal verbs? So my parents like to have a meal in a restaurant, but I never enjoy it. So, yes. So we know that one, eat out. What about number 2 though? I always like to have chocolate in the evening to help me relax. So which phrase means the same as relax? Very good. Thank you, Ksenia. Thank you, Tatiana. Good. So we can drag the options into the correct place, with the students. Then we can click show answer, and it confirms if we were correct. So yes, you were correct, eat out and wind down, okay, meaning to relax. Another really good thing about this presentation tool is that you have this really easy to use toolbar at the side. Okay, lots of kind of features in this that can give you a lot more flexibility about how you teach, and also make parts of the lesson a lot more engaging. For example, if we look at the second one down, these widgets. Okay, so we click it, it gives us the options. One that I like to use, so I have a very competitive class. Okay, I mean, it's friendly competition, but they do get quite competitive. Obviously, I need to keep track of which team is winning. Well, with the widget, you can do. Okay, so you can have a scoreboard, which is very easy to kind of add points to. Also, yeah, if we want to introduce a timed element to any of the activities, which of course we know with exam preparation is quite important because they always need to be keeping an eye on the clock, we can have a timer as well. So this is projected onto the screen for the students. There's also a dictionary. So if the students kind of ask us any questions about a particular word, we can look it up using the dictionary. Okay, the students get shown a definition of the word. Also, it is possible to write on the page as well. We have a toolbar of different kind of markers and highlighters. So I mean, I'm not a great drawer like artist, but my students seem to enjoy my drawings, probably because they're so bad. So I still like drawing on the page sometimes. We can highlight certain words. We can hide parts of the page as well. So again, it gives us a lot of options. This can also be downloaded and used offline in the classroom. So again, if you're projecting it for the class, you have that option. Okay. So it's all about making your life a little bit easier, okay, by giving us this flexibility. Okay. So another great thing that comes with Gold Experience are some editable grammar presentations. So for every grammar point in the book, there is a PowerPoint presentation for it. Okay. I know if you're like me, when we kind of had to quickly adapt to teaching online, I was spending hours making PowerPoint presentations for different grammar points. Okay. But now, yeah, with Gold Experience, you are already given these presentations and you can change them. Okay. So you're given them as a PowerPoint file. You can open it and then change bits of the information. So for example, with my class, I like to change some of the examples so it includes the students' names. Okay, it's only a small bit of personalization, but it's a lot more engaging for them. Okay, or if there is a joke, a running joke you have with your class. For example, I have a student who, to put it like politely, is a bit of a chatterbox. So she never stops talking. So sometimes I include some jokes about that, into the examples as well. So just to make it a bit more kind of personalized, more engaging for them. Okay, and another good thing about Gold Experience, of course, is the teacher's book. Okay, it is so detailed. There are so many ideas in this book, which make it really easy to teach our classes. Okay, remember all the challenges of teaching exam classes that we talked about before? Well, through this teacher's book, it gives us a lot of solutions to these. Okay, for example, if you have this kind of class and you want to kind of push them a bit more, okay, maybe they finish an activity kind of quickly, or you're wanting to kind of challenge them. Yeah, there are ideas, ways that we can extend the activity. It's also useful if our students need more practice with certain skills. Okay, and again, yeah, I'm sure all of us have got one or two students that finish a long time before everyone else. Sometimes it's difficult to think of, an extra activity that we can give them. But with the Gold Experience Teacher's Book, it gives us an idea. Okay, So when he fast finishes, gives us an activity that maybe we could give them as well. Okay, saves us time, makes our lives a bit easier. And of course, as I said before, these exam preparation classes, well, and general English classes, they're also usually quite kind of mixed ability. So with the Gold Experience Teachers book, they have ideas of how you can modify certain activities in the book to make them more appropriate for weaker students and more appropriate for stronger students as well. So again, all of this is designed to make your life kind of easier, to kind of save you a bit of time. Okay, so now we've looked at why I think it's such a flexible title, or the online and offline features to make your life easier. But now we're going to look at this kind of engaging, kind of authentic content that is in Gold Experience, particularly the videos. Okay, so the students love the videos in this book. Okay, so there are 3 types of video throughout Gold Experience. Okay, there are these switch on clips. Okay, these are kind of little short stories or kind of reports on something connected to the topic of the unit. Okay, they can see some of the language being used in kind of a realistic context, really engaging for the students, get them to use their kind of critical thinking skills when they're discussing some of these topics. Okay, again, really good for developing our students' receptive skills, their listening skills. Also, we have these Grammar Vox Pop videos. Okay, so these link up with some of the grammar points in the book. So again, it's another way to kind of introduce the students to the grammar points in a kind of very realistic context, okay, with these real authentic interviews. And finally, something I really like is that they have these authentic videos of students answering the some speaking test questions. Okay, so from these kind of international exams, because I find that, for many students, the speaking test is the one that they are most nervous about, because maybe it's not something that they have done before. Okay, but through these videos, we can kind of familiarize them with the kind of format of the test. They can see 2 other non-native kind of users of English answering the questions. When I use these with my class, usually kind of later in the year, maybe before, just before they do the exam themselves, I like to do an activity where I give them the role of being the examiner. So I give them an example of the marking criteria. Okay, I say, you're the examiner. Okay, watch the video. What marks would you give them for each category? Okay, so the students then can discuss why they think the students did well, or maybe what they could have improved. Okay, so again, really kind of familiarizing themselves with the format and with the marking criteria, which, as we know, is very important. Okay, so we're actually going to look at one of the videos from Gold Experience. So I'd like you to see it because, like I said, they're really, really nice, interesting videos. We're going to look at one of the switch on clips. Okay, this particular one that we're looking at, again, from B2+, so this pre-advanced level. Okay, this is about a teenager called Mike who goes on a voyage. Okay, so he goes sailing around the world. Okay, so we're going to watch the video, and I would like you to try and answer this comprehension question. As with the other lessons, okay, these comprehension questions are kind of integrated into a very logical lesson flow. So there is a clear lead-in on this page, and then these comprehension questions. So let's watch the video and answer this question. So how far does Mike have to travel to go all the way around the world? Okay, so watch the video, listen carefully.
Mike is an ordinary 16-year-old boy, hanging out with his friends, getting ready for exams, and daydreaming.
I'm trying to do revision, trying to. I spend half my time daydreaming. That's what my attention span's like.
And what are you daydreaming about?
How amazing would it be to sail around the world? What an incredible journey that would be.
But what's extraordinary about Mike is that he's making his daydreams come true. He's planning an attempt to become the youngest person ever to sail around the world solo. It's a huge challenge and could take 4 or 5 months. The journey begins. Mike faces sailing 50,000 kilometers through some of the world's most dangerous seas on his own. It's a huge technical challenge and perhaps an even bigger personal one.
Okay, so did you get the answer? Okay, so how far does Mike have to travel to go all the way around the world? Was it 50,000 miles? Was it miles? Yeah, almost. Yeah, it was 50,000 kilometers. Okay, so this is one of my favorite videos. Okay, the students always kind of enjoy it. And also this particular lesson ends with a great kind of collaborative speaking activity. Okay, all of these switch-on lessons do. Okay, the activity the students have here is that they need to plan their own kind of trip around the world. They don't need to plan the route, but they need to discuss what things they're going to bring on the ship. Okay, so the students need to kind of develop, or they need to practice their discussion skills, okay, their ability to persuade other people, okay. Yeah, I always find that when I've used this with my students, it can get quite heated, the discussion. People feel very passionately about which food or drink can be brought on the boat, okay.